Hi, I'm Becky Stern and welcome to the craft video. This week I want to show you some more metalsmithing techniques, including a bunch of different kinds of abrasives and making rivets with fire. When working on a basic metal piece, there are a bunch of different abrasive materials you can use to get the finish you want. Here I have just a basic shape that I pierced with my jeweler's saw, like I showed you how to do in my last metalworking video. But you can see that the edges are really rough and sharp, and there's got a lot of surface scratches. So one basic thing you can use is a large flat file, possibly rounded on one side, for cleaning up broad edges, making things flat and straight. It's really good for loose beginning to clean up your work. And then these micro files come in a bunch of different shapes and sizes. This one's round for getting into round holes, square for getting into these little corners, and then triangular ones and low dome with flat sides, and the little points make it really excellent for getting into very small spaces. If you need to grind off a bunch of metal and you want to get a shape, you can use one of these grinding wheels. They come in a bunch of different materials. They're composite abrasives, and they'll usually go pretty fast, taking away softer metals like silver or copper. Once you get down into the finishing stage, you can work with something like this detail abrasive brush, which is actually just a different composite rubber materials with embedded abrasive in it, and when it spins it just sort of slaps at the metal really fast and can get you a really interesting surface texture, can smooth over a sharp edge, and they come in a bunch of different grits. One of my favorite things is also this slotted mandrel. It goes in your rotary tool or flex shaft and has just a slot in it to put in a piece of sandpaper. This is a wet dry sandpaper, and then when it spins, it does the same thing as the detail abrasive brush, but it's sanding, so you can get off a lot of grime or fire scale, or even just get a nice surface texture to your metal with this. And then when the sandpaper wears out, you can just replace it. You don't have to worry about replacing a whole head. And then here's a buffing material that you can, it's like a foamy fiber material that can, you dip it in this buffing compound, which will bring shine to your metal. So that's one of the last steps that you would do, is to shine up your metal with the buffing wheel. To affix the two pieces of metal, I'm going to use a rivet. So I've drilled a hole in each piece, and then the way the rivet works is it sandwiches the two pieces of metal together, and then you hammer on one end to flatten it. So both ends are flared in order to hold the pieces together. This is called a ball head rivet that I'm about to make, and it's called that because it has a ball on the end. And I'm going to make it by holding my wire in my cross-locking tweezers and turning on my butane torch and holding it completely vertical. This is big wire, so it'll take a little bit of time to heat up. This happens rather quickly with smaller gauge wire. So the silver will turn red, and then it'll start to get glossy, and then the end will start to melt and it sticks to itself, so it turns into a ball. When you're happy with the size, you can remove the heat and quench your piece in some water. Now we have a ball head rivet. This is sterling wire, so it's got some fire scale on it, but I'm going for a little bit of oxidation texture to make the piece look a little more antique, but I'm still going to use some sandpaper to shine it up a little bit. You can measure how long it needs to be by doing a test fit. I've hammered the rivet on the back so it's flush and then sanded it a little bit. All that's left to do is clean up the finish there, attach a jump ring for a chain, and the pendant is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this week's craft video, and I'll see you next time.